Welcome to Below the Line, where we talk about working in Hollywood from the crew perspective. My name is Skid. I'm a former assistant director and your host.
Quiet on the set.
Today, Below the Line is kicking off our 7th annual Oscar series, where subject matter experts discuss the nominees in their category of expertise. And for the first time, we are also publishing the video of our conversation. You can find us on YouTube. I hope you'll check that out and let me know what you think. Our first category this year is Achievement in Film Editing. Let me introduce my guests. Christopher Angel, you're a triple threat writer, director, and editor. You've been editing for over 25 years, and your credits include James Cameron's Expedition Bismarck, Gary Shandling's The Making of the Larry Sanders Show, and you just released a nature documentary on PBS called SoCal Snow Owl. Welcome back.
Thank you. It's good to be back.
Amy Duddleston, you're a film editor with more than 30 years in the industry, and your credits include Mayor of Easttown, Gus Van Sant's Psycho, and the dramatic series Task, which recently aired on HBO Max. Glad you could make it again.
Thank you for having me.
I'm excited to have you both here. We are off to the races. The 2025 nominees for film editing are F1, Marty Supreme, One Battle After Another, Sentimental Value, and Sinners. We're going to discuss them in that order, and spoilers are possible, so consider this a warning. I'm going to recognize the individual nominees by name, but my apologies in advance for any mispronunciations. My guests are welcome to correct me. First up, let's get started. Yeah, so we're all equally responsible. Let's get started with F1 film editor Stephen Maroney. Chris, why don't you kick us off?
Sure. So I think it's Stephen Marioni. And
thank you. Right out the gate. Perfect.
Yes. He's this guy's credits are unbelievable. I mean, he's edited movies that I just love. Traffic, Birdman, The Revenant, Go, Ocean's 11, and not surprisingly, like F1 is very, very well edited. It's basically like, a big Hollywood movie doing what big Hollywood movies do really well, which is entertain, and it's propulsive, it's fast. It did remind me a little bit of Ford v Ferrari, which I think won the Best Editing Oscar a few years ago. We talked about that movie back then. Again, sort of some similarities from an editing point of view. Lots of fast edits, lots of race car action, lots of intercutting of people watching from the pits, people in the cars. And, I never got confused. Like, it is an incredibly well done technical movie. The downside for me is ultimately because it so knows what it is that it feels a little bit like a formula, pun intended. It is about Formula One. So that's to me the downside. It's like great craft, but in service of what exactly? Like a Hollywood entertainment that people obviously enjoyed, but didn't surprise me as an editor. Didn't sort of say like, oh, this is a new way we're doing this. It just was an incredibly well done version of something that might be kind of familiar. Amy, what did you think of this one?
The editing in this is very like you are in that car and there were times where I got goosebumps. Like it's very, you're in that car. But yeah, it's a formula. It's Top Gun with wheels. It's like it's like, the team running around the truck and it had like all of those moments. The editing it's like flawless. The point of view is very clear. And you are in Brad's point of view. You have Brad Pitt's point of view. He plays Sonny, and the kid who's his teammate. It's very like split screens, like the whole shebang. It's a feel good movie. It's really fun. It was like it came out in the summer. It ticked all the boxes. It was just a big movie, but yeah, it's like most editing, it's best most editing.
A lot of edits
there's
per minute.
A lot of edits, and it's a lot of, there's just so much like Formula One. Like I learned a lot about Formula One. Those cars are incredible and the race is incredible. There's nothing like it. And, but yeah, I mean, in terms of like, a well-constructed film, it was. And Stephen Marioni is, he's a very fine editor, and he did not, I think he had a really good time.
Clearly, yeah.
I'm sure he had a really good time editing this movie. I could just feel it. you know.
Yeah, I will note that there are a couple scenes of like actors playing video games in the movie of like race car driving. And
Yes.
at times I'm like, wow, okay, well, they're really taking that quite far because the movie itself felt like a video game at times. Or
Yeah.
like,
With those
this,
screens, like the whole,
yeah,
like the car is all like, it's
right. And
all
they had
LED screens and
graphics and
computers and stuff, and
yeah,
like how they track them. It's all so like computerized and
yeah.
crazy. So yeah, it was like giant video game.
Yeah, and that spilled over into the editing style, right? With the like intertitles and the
Yeah.
graphics and the split screens we talked
Chasing
about.
them and then like
Yeah. It was a lot. It's a lot to take in. So like again, I enjoyed the movie. It's like a very enjoyable race, but the editing was so well done, but like doesn't stand out to me as like being special or different or like
yeah.
using a new technique. And I'll note because I like, we like to track these things and we're early in this sort of cycle, but there's a whole sort of arc of like which movie's up, which one's down. The Hollywood Reporter and Variety have both picked this movie to win the category. Like they choose their
That's
favorite.
just so easy though.
Yeah,
It like I said, it's best most editing. It's like he had so much footage probably to work with, and like it's a technical feat. But like
exactly. For
we'll
what?
talk about Marty Supreme or sentimental value. Like these are it's like sinners. Anyway,
Yeah.
we're gonna move on.
We'll get there. Yeah.
But it's like it deserves to be in this category F1. I mean, it does because it is just like a very finely crafted film that you were always like you were never lost. Yeah. Anyway, that's my opinion too.
Well, let's move on to the second movie on our list then. That is Marty Supreme, film editors Ronald Bronstein and Josh Safdie.
So, I have to say, like, again, as a ride, I enjoyed this movie. I think one thing that's super interesting to note up front is that Ronald Bronstein and Josh Safdie are the screenwriters of the movie, as well as the editors. And Josh Safdie was also the director. So, he's typically worked with his brother as a director. They did Uncut Gems together, but had some similar roles sort of reused. And this is something I think I've talked about on this podcast for many years, which is that editing, in my opinion, is a continuation of the screenwriting, right? It's like the
Truly.
storytelling aspect of editing is something that people don't appreciate in the industry enough, in my opinion. And the editor has a lot to do with how stories are put together and are told. So I'm really glad that Ronald and Josh, finally listened to me and decided that they would edit their script. No, seriously, they've been doing this probably way before I suggested it, but it was really interesting for me to get to watch it for that reason.
I mean,
And I'd love to talk to them some more about this. Yeah.
Chris, if I can put my hand up on that for a second, just because the other thing that I recall you saying is that the tension between a director and the editor is actually a good thing to have, because when it's
Mm.
one person rowing all in one direction, sometimes maybe they don't get the checks or other opinions that help make a better film. And so tell us more about how Marty Supreme tackled this challenge.
Yeah, well, this is the interesting question, right? So again, I wasn't in the editing room, so how does Ronald Bronstein and Josh Safdie work together? How did they feel about their script? Like on one hand, right, when you're the screenwriter and the director, you can kind of throw that stuff out. Like you can give yourself permission in a way maybe that an editor can't. Like sometimes when I'm editing somebody else's film, I want to start with the script. They can just dive in and start wherever they want, hypothetically. On the other hand, I think, as I've said before, being on set, being the director, knowing what was intended can be really hard. Like if I had a bad day, say it was snowing or something and it wasn't supposed to, or raining and couldn't shoot the scene I wanted to, or like things went wrong, camera broke, like that has an emotional impact on me as a director. And it's super hard to let go of that as the editor. So even though actually I really enjoyed the film, like I think what they were able to do was stylistically create something so cohesive and so tense that it was really tight. It's also fast, like it's another sports movie. So it's
Yeah.
interesting to compare to F1, right? Because it's got a lot of edits, it's moving fast, it's got a lot of tension. But my complaints about the film ultimately probably have to do with the script and issues that I think are in the script that they did not ultimately tackle or solve in the edit. And I think that's what you're talking about, Skid. It's like it's hard to have that distance. And if I was in that room, I might have really had a big discussion with them about like how the main character is portrayed, for example.
Yes.
I would like to have that discussion earlier than just seeing the movie at the end. So super interesting. Like it's great to see it come together, but it does have problems. So
Yeah.
yeah, how do you work with that?
Um, I would have called this movie the saga of Marty Supreme because it was just it was very, like you said, it's a very cohesive piece of work, and it is very much in his point of view, and it all like comes together, but like it was relentless. And you know the first half hour you're like, oh, this is really interesting, and then like as the hour turns and a bathtub falls through the floor and squishes a dog that belongs to and then that's like this. So it takes an hour for the story to really like the saga of Marty Supreme really starts kicking in, and it was long and just kind of he's so annoying. So
That to me is the important point, is that like I
it's
wasn't
like you
rooting for
in
him.
editing, it's
Yeah.
like you aren't rooting for him.
Right.
And it is very hard to sit through a long movie where you're not like you kind of want to see him, but no, he's like such an ass.
Not a good person.
So you don't want him to succeed, and I don't think the ending was deserved. And like I that was my problem with it.
I totally agree. And it's amazing to see because each scene is so well constructed, and I was very tense. Like I found myself on the edge of my seat.
It's a Safdie,
Yeah.
trademark.
Yeah, it's like, wow, it's like, what's going to happen now? But you're right. At the end of the day, I was like, well, I didn't really want him to succeed. And I don't really believe he's going to be a good dad or a good husband. Like, none of that made sense to me ultimately. So it's like, you win the little battles, but you kind of lose the war. And
Do and they're
yeah.
like tiny little flashes where you wanted, like when he brings that piece of the pyramids home to his mom and says, we built this, and you're just like, what? Oh my God. Like little things like that are very special, and you just kind of wanted a little more special. But like then he's just a horrible person to his mom and like everybody else.
Right.
I didn't know what to do with them.
On the flip side, like just again in sort of the micro scene construction, like taking ping pong or table tennis, making it so dramatic and tense is really impressive, because like I didn't know anything about the sport, and I didn't know. I don't know. I think if I went in, I wouldn't think it was a high stakes sort of experience, but it was so kinetic. It was very well edited, and I really enjoyed those sequences. And it was
really fun. It was really fun, and also the whole like the setting of like post World War II New York City and the world. It wasn't just it was the world. Like he's traveling the world, and you are getting like little pieces of like this post World War II, like everybody's attitudes towards other people. And that was also very interesting, but it was eclipsed by him being such a jerk.
Yeah. So I think normally like we always do complain about the script because we feel like the editors should be able to impact the script. In this case, very easy to do because the screenwriters are also the editors. So, but it does show like what it is we look at as editors and how we respond to material, and what our job is to ask these questions.
Yeah.
I think it's interesting on this one, just because I want to bring it back around to editing, but I understand the critiques on the character of Marty. And again, he gets worse and worse, right, as it goes through. Like it's what seems like small indiscretions in the beginning grow into serious character flaws of this person as an individual. We're all agreed on that. But there was something about the watching of it. And I don't know whether it is to credit to the script or the direction, and again, I want to come back around to editing. It moves so quickly and without judgment. Like we never pause to celebrate or judge Marty. We're on to the next little segment of whatever this adventure is going to be. And I think partly it was the editing that carried me through the film, that by the time of the end, I had enjoyed watching it and actually giving him this moment, not maybe deserved, like you mentioned, Amy, but it was like sasatisfying for me, having gone through it with him, to have that moment at the end.
At least you got something.
I don't think things were like, I don't think he becomes
maybe it was the end of the movie.
But yeah, but I was satisfied at the end. I think and I want to credit part of that to editing, but you guys
Yeah.
Right.
talk about editing on another level. And so I'm curious your response. I think a lot of people, this film's getting a lot
Yeah.
of
No,
good
and
buzz.
people
So
really like this movie, and people, are just along for the ride, and that has to be appreciated. It's like your reward is the end of the movie. It's like,
But I also, I mean, I did enjoy each sequence as we went. And I think
Mhm.
Amy,
yeah,
it's something, we've talked about before too. Like I was on the edge of my seat. Like I felt the stakes of
yeah.
each scene very
The
viscerally. And that was a
stakes.
fun
Yeah, we always
ride.
talk
Mhm.
about the stakes.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly. Right. So I remember like halfway through the movie, like, just looking down, being like, wow, I am like literally sitting forward on the edge of my seat. That doesn't always happen in movies. So like again, as an editor, like they were doing
yeah,
an amazing job of constructing every sequence. And that's what a feature is. It's a series of
yeah,
sequences.
Mhm.
And they weren't making any mistakes yet. That's sort of why I feel like it was such a great experience. Like I enjoyed watching it. It's just again, if I you know, pull myself back. I'm like, there's something missing. Like, this is an amazing movie, deserves to be nominated for editing, but like, oh, so close, but something was
yeah,
missing, and that's
yeah.
what we're talking about.
Exactly.
All right, well, let's take us on to our third film, One Battle
Ooh,
After Another. Film editor Andy Jurgensen.
that is Andy Jurgensen. One battle after another. It is hilarious, riveting, emotional. Um, it's propulsive. It's not a word I love. It's like those are that's the word you get from studio notes. But it is, and it's a story of rebellion and human beings that are caught in the chaos of the machine, man. But very much like Marty Supreme, the stakes in this film are so high that when you think you're getting a breather, you actually aren't. It is truly one battle after another. So it's based on a Thomas Pynchon novel that I tried to read like 3 different times over the last 30 years. And I finally was like, oh my God, thank God somebody made a movie. Um, but it has very timely themes right now politically, and the film like starts at the U.S. Mexico border, and you are just like thrust into this revolutionary group called the French 75, where they take the border patrol hostage and release all the people that they're holding, all the immigrants, and there are so many multiple like points of view in this film, and everything is just tracked, and um it's like 3 points of view. It's Bob, played by Leonardo DiCaprio, Willa, played by Chase Infinity, and Colonel Lockjaw, played by Sean Penn, brilliantly. And it's like these people are basically left in the wake of this one woman, played by Tiana Taylor, um, who's I can't think of her name. It's like something Beverly Hills. Anyway, she was like the head revolutionary, and she left these 3 people basically, and this is kind of their story about everything that's happened. So there's just a lot of humanity. There's a lot of stuff happening every single minute, and I was surprised when the movie was over.
Mm.
I was like, there wasn't like a moment where I was disinterested and in the least, and that's quite an achievement. I mean, especially it's a very long film, and there wasn't like you laugh a lot, you hold your breath, you're disgusted, you're like you are moved, it's the whole package, and I was there for all of it. Chris.
Yeah, I also enjoy, I mean, I enjoyed the film as an experience. And I think, as you said, like its timeliness is really important, kind of
Yeah.
amazing because the way films get made, it's not like it
Yes.
was made 6 months ago,
No.
right? A while ago. That said, like I think to me it was like it's overly long. Like again, the editor in me
uh
is like, ah, I just wish it was a little shorter. And it's funny, you didn't mention the Benicio del Toro
oh
character,
yeah, well,
right?
that's
Yeah,
like
and
one more.
it's like that's I mean, I like him as an actor and I think he's great. It's just that like that section in particular kind of felt like too long to me, like
Right,
extraneous, right? It's like
where he
there's a
comes in and has to.
yeah. It's important to the I guess to the thematics, and that's my problem is like is this thematics over like making the film. And at times I felt like it was. It's like, this is a great film. We're gonna sort of like really hit you over the head with it. And that's where I feel like it maybe just didn't quite land for me as well as it could have. I mean,
Right.
again, at the end of the day, like I enjoyed the experience. I enjoyed what this filmmaker is obviously very gifted, what they're attempting to do, what they're aiming to do. Like this is a big movie aiming at some very big themes.
Yeah.
But again, as an editor, I'm just like, boy, I would have really tried to like pare down that middle section a
I
little.
think for me, it was the ending where
Mm,
I'm just like, Sean Penn, like I didn't, that was where I was like, okay, you know, this, it's like,
it was amusing, right? I mean,
it
and I
was
felt like
like
he
for
needed
what
his
it was,
comeuppance.
he needed
Yeah,
his comeuppance, and
yeah.
it like he was, the psychosexual.
But as an editor, would you have like made an argument to like not have the Sean
Just
Penn
don't
ending?
have it.
Yeah,
Just don't have it. You didn't need it. I
yeah.
just really felt like that was the only part. Like while I was surprised the movie was over, I just
Mhm.
felt like that was where I was like, okay, are we
And I think this is
done?
just the issue with this movie. Like, there's just so much in
Yeah,
there that like it's like there's gonna be a loose end or not, and it's it is long. It's like I think
it
it's like two
is.
hours and 45 minutes. So there's just a lot going on. And we'll never really know, but like I would probably make the argument for a slightly tighter version of this and see how if it's still played.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, I know.
Hmm.
I mean, it was, but I think like the thing that was very interesting to me is like because of like the resistance, there are so many layers of like you hide, you have these ways of like everybody's tracking each other, and you go underground, and you come
Hmm.
out, and then this person takes over, and like I felt like that's when Benicio del Toro comes in, and all of that. But that was very interesting to me. I don't know. It was like,
There's
And do
one
you think?
sequence I want to point to that
Oh,
I
sorry,
loved so
Chris, you
much,
first. Yeah, go
which
ahead.
is it's famous, I'm sure, but it's like the car chase
the
towards
car
the end,
chase.
where you're going up and down an undulating road, and so like part of it is cinematography that again the director had the idea to do this and they shot it really well, but the editing of it I thought was
It
brilliant.
was
Like
so brilliant. And I mean,
just
we still talk about it in our house. It's just like,
okay,
well,
good, yeah,
it's the car chase. And it's
yeah.
like I went home for Christmas and went on this road, and I was like, look, we're in one battle after another. And going up and down hills. Like it's
Yeah, and when to
brilliant.
cut, like when to
It
cut
is
out of it,
so
when not to
brilliant.
cut. Yeah,
Yeah.
it
It's
goes
like
on
boom,
quite a long
boom. It's
time.
a long time because,
Yeah.
and Leo DiCaprio is way far behind them. And so he's chasing them, and, it's so when she figures out what to do, you're like, oh shit.
Hmm.
It was so good. That was so good.
Yeah. And I think the other thing we're talking about in this movie that does very well is helping performance, right? That's
Yes.
another job of an editor that I think people don't give full credit to, but we can make a big difference on actors' performances.
Yeah.
Which take do we choose?
Yeah.
When do we cut? When don't we cut? And clearly, again, Andy, the editor, like he was really listening to his actors and knew how to help them. And so you've got like some very experienced people like Benicio del Toro, Sean Penn, or Leonardo DiCaprio, and then you've got some younger
Yeah.
women who didn't have as deep experience, and then he just made sure that they all were really giving just
Yeah.
flawless performances. And I'm sure the director helped, but he clearly
No,
knew what he was doing, right?
it's all like very rooted in humanity,
Yeah.
and like that that was something that I really reacted to. They weren't just like, yeah, it was all very, I don't know, this film, it's kind of, it's not the, I don't know, at the beginning I thought maybe this is the one to beat, and maybe it is, I don't know, but
Might be.
it
Yeah,
might
it's
be.
pretty
But
good. It's pretty
Sinners
good.
is also great.
We're gonna get to that exactly. Two-horse race here.
Yeah, Skid wants to say something.
But before we move on, I want to ask you a question about when you talk about editing for performance, but also when you talk about, Chris, you would have edited the middle section, which is Benicio del Toro's section, and then Amy, you talked about clipping some of the end with Sean Penn. Both of these gentlemen are nominated for Best Supporting Actor. Do you think either of them, and again, the politics of nomination, not the thing, but if you edit those parts down, do you think they're still as competitive in that race? And is that even a consideration that would come into
Oh,
the edit room?
I think they're both like, they just turned in performances that were just very singular, and there's no doubt about it. Even if you trim down, Benicio del Toro, it's really what you're trimming out of those scenes is more Leo DiCaprio, like from looking for a place to plug in his phone charger.
Exactly.
Like this, like those are the things that you would probably be working on. When he's just like getting chased by the cops and like, there's a
just
few
goes on too long,
weird,
jumping across the roof.
Like the roof and the kids and these are just like the little things, but he still would have been nominated because it's just he's so just like sensei calm, and
my guiding light as an editor is like I am loyal to the film. I mean, that's my primary loyalty. And I will always, in an edit room, argue something in terms of like what it means to the film.
Yeah.
And the great thing is like I would like to try things and then talk to the director. And if it doesn't work, fine, I will give it up. But it needs to be a discussion for what's best for the film in whole.
And the audience. I mean, I'm always just like, what, what are
you trying to say?
What are you trying to say here?
Yeah.
It's just like it's Paul Thomas Anderson, so he can make the movie as long as he wants.
He certainly
this
can.
is the thing. So it's he's proven to us that like he can do this.
And the hierarchy, which I think is important, Skid, as you know, as an AD, it's like, I'm, my job as an editor is to suggest things and sort of speak my truth as I see things creatively. But at the end of the day, it's the director's film. So I know that having worn both hats, and so
you're trying to
happy
serve
to have
that
that discussion,
vision.
and then it's like you make the decision, like you do the hard part. I'm going to do the easy part.
If this is your vision, like let me help you. That's always my takeaway.
I want to get you guys' opinion on our fourth film, A Sentimental Value. Film editor Olivier Bouga-Coutier.
Bouche-Coutier.
Thank you.
That's a French
I was
name.
2 for 1 on name pronunciations. I think we just evened the score on that. So thanks for filling that in, Amy. Talk to us what you thought about this film from an editing perspective.
Well, this was a very fine film that I really loved. There isn't like one false performance in this film. Every actor got nominated, I'm pretty sure, and there is very good reason. It's Scandinavian family angst at its finest, with like a literal nod to Ingmar Bergman when one scene, and it's a very just well-constructed drama about two sisters, their father, their house, and generational trauma, basically, that surrounds their entire life. And there are so many points of view in this film. You track all of the characters, and the editor and the director, Joachim Trier, who's his last movie, Worst Person in the World, was also a really great film. They use like a very standard thing, cutting to black, to kind of just separate everybody's story, and it helps so well. And it's like the house, like cutting to the house, because the house is about their life too. And so there are just a lot of themes in this film about like history and memory and art and depression and artistic expression, and it was just very succinct and very like unmelodramatic too. The point of view in this film was it was phenomenal. It's just, you felt every single character, and I feel like that's one of the reasons why they're all nominated. It's like everybody had their moment. Like Elle Fanning has this tremendous, and this is like the Persona scene. It was like a nod to Persona, where she is literally, the father is making a film, and he wanted his oldest daughter to play the lead role, but she wouldn't, and because they've been estranged, and he gets Elle Fanning, this actress Rachel, to play the part, and she kind of realizes that she's way in over her head because the daughter, she's playing the daughter, and so she calls a meeting to meet the daughter, Nora, and Rachel has dyed her hair to look like Nora, and she's trying to figure out, and she just realizes that like she hasn't lived this part. And Nora's like, I can't help you with that. And it was just such a great scene. And there are a lot of great scenes, but I really enjoyed this film. I just thought it was really beautifully edited. And I was really happy to see it in this category because there aren't a lot of like slow moving, European talky dramas that get nominated. It's like F1 and Marty Supreme, like the flashy ones. And so I was thrilled to see this in the category.
Yeah, I think my one disappointment of this year is that Amy and I seem to agree about 100% right now on these movies. Totally
Per
agree.
usual, Christopher.
Yes, we think alike, so there's that. You have to get somebody else in who just like
Yeah,
mixes
right.
things
Going,
up.
eh.
Yeah. Yeah, totally agree, on Amy's take on this movie. I think the thing that interested me, there's two things really from an editing point of view, and Amy mentioned this. It's like I think the script to me reads melodramatic, but the movie's not. And I'm still not totally sure how they pulled this off.
We're
Yeah.
still scratching our heads.
It's dramatic.
Like it's so dramatic.
But it could have been super melodramatic, and it's just not. And so I don't know if it's the performances, the editing,
the characters literally like walk away, like
Yeah.
where it would have gotten melodramatic. Like
Yeah.
she literally gets up and walks out of the.
Yeah. Brilliant. Like just totally great choices all around, acting and editing and cinematography. And then the thing that I also thought might bother me, but I actually really enjoyed, was that it's self-referential. It's about a filmmaker. Stellan Skarsgård is a director, and he's trying to cast his daughter in a movie that he's making sort of about his daughter, about his wife. It's not clear, but I was worried, and Elle Fanning plays like a version of herself, and I was worried it was like it's going to be too inside Hollywood, like too inside filmmaking, and sometimes like I've just seen that enough, but it didn't. It really like added thematic to me, and I enjoyed like discussions about like long take. Right, we're editors here, but there was like a whole thing. It's in the movie. It's a bit of a spoiler, but like the long take is really important to this movie about like being in a scene with this actor and like watching them go through this like really crazy experience. And it really kind of like bears like technique of editing and filmmaking to you. But while they're using every technique in the book and fades to black and different points of view, it doesn't bother me at all. Like I enjoyed it. I thought it was a very nuanced, interesting look at that character and at these techniques.
Yeah. The film within a film.
Yeah.
And yeah, when he talks about like, I want to do this as, and she's like, a oneer.
People know what it means, right? It's
yeah,
like,
right.
Yeah.
And Rachel's just like, it was such a great movie.
Yeah.
I was me
too. Very happy
away.
It was nominated for
Yeah.
editing. It deserves it.
I also really enjoyed this film, but I saw it before the nominations came out. And I don't know that I would have been thinking about editing. To quip on what you said earlier, Amy, it's kind of like this is best least editing. Although from what you're saying, to maintain though all these points of views and the movie, like, and not to have it all come tumbling down is to the editing credit on this. I think you're both saying
best least editing. That's the word I want to get.
Most careful editing, right? It's very thoughtful. Like I feel like the editor was as thoughtful as the writer director. Like it just very carefully done, and however they all work together, it's just like some great decisions were made that I was like, oh, I wish I could make those decisions. Like I'm jealous because it just
I know
not the obvious one. Yeah.
So it was the whole package.
Yeah.
But speaking of the whole package, the next movie.
Final film on our list is Sinners, film editor Michael P. Shaver.
So I want to start talking about this because I'm a genre person. So I've directed 5 horror films, and on its face, I guess Sinners you could describe it. I mean, it's a vampire movie. There are vampires in the movie, and it's at night and it's dark. But what really blew me away by this movie, both I think the script, the directing, and then the editing, is how it combines genre. It's something I've always enjoyed trying to do.
Yes.
And I failed, so I know how hard it is to do, and I've done it well. And so I've done both. But here it's partly a horror movie, a vampire movie, and then partly a societal expose of racism in the 30s in the Deep South. I mean, just crazy. And the way it does that is through blues music, right? So it uses blues music as a thematic to understand the societal issues going on in the South at that moment, and then combines it with a vampire movie. And somehow, I mean, if you told me that just in a conversation, I'm like, okay, well, that sounds great, but how are you going to do that? It's seamless. Like
It's
one feeds on
amazing.
the other in a way that I just couldn't believe. And so, like, I felt tension from the beginning about like the violence and the danger these characters were in. And so when vampires show up, you're like, oh, of course, like that's actually maybe not as bad as the other violence and danger that they're already facing in the
Being
South.
black in America in the
Yeah,
South,
that
yeah,
seemed
in the
much worse.
1930s.
So, so it just like great. And so then, as an editor, like it's just everything is working in to tell this story. And it's funny, like, the discussions that will value about the oneer, like they use that to amazing effect in the middle of this film.
Yeah,
So like one of my favorite sequences, there's no edit in. It's the music. So we got a blues musician who you've met, he's kind of like the kid, the main character. He's playing and he's bringing forth spirits from both the future and the past. His music is talking across time, but it's a oneer. Like there's no editing. I watched it carefully. Camera's moving around and it's just perfectly timed to be in that moment and bring in the future and the past, these other musicians and dancers. And I just loved it. And then when you get into the vampires, it's like, they're cutting for horror, like fast
yeah.
cuts and smash cuts and scares and like,
Jump scares galore.
yeah, all of it. It's just like this guy knows how to edit horror as well, but it comes together in a unified way that, never like the pacing's correct. Like really, really
Yeah,
enjoyed the unification of it.
it was it was all just like everything was top notch. There was just nothing in this movie that I was ever confused by, and just I
Mhm.
don't know. And it's Michael B. Jordan's playing twins, and so it's like the point of view, and they're different guys,
Mhm.
and they're twins, and they definitely have symbiosis or some, but but their stories are different, and just everybody else involved, like Winmi Masako, and how everybody comes to kind of like help out at this place, and then and then the vampires show up, and they're these white people, and it's like it's so obvious, but it's so amazing, and they're singing these songs and kind of like luring them in, and it was crazy, and
Yeah,
like
and how music stands in and how
and
it's
how
edited.
music is just
Yeah.
like the thing that draws you in, and it is the thing that brings us together, and it is the thing that eventually will kill us all, and like it's amazing. It was just, I don't know, I was such a fan of this film. I was completely blown away.
And I feel the same way.
Yeah,
It just worked on every
yeah.
level and the
This is
editing
the
kept it
film to
all.
beat for
Yeah,
me, I
me
think.
too.
I mean, as much I love all the movies in this category, but I just feel like this is truly the one to beat, because it crossed, like you said, it crosses all the genres, and it was just such a mind blowing experience.
And it had a lot to say. Like,
Yeah,
you think about a genre film, like, okay, there's vampires, but like I said, it really was a way to
it's like
use
society's ills, and like
exactly.
that still are here today. Thank you very
Yeah.
much, but um,
The best horror movies are metaphors for societal issues,
yeah,
and it's a great way to get at something that we are still facing.
truly,
Yeah, really amazing.
yeah,
And the love of the blues. Like clearly, like these filmmakers love the blues. Like,
yeah,
again, the cinematography, the editing, the directing, it all comes
yeah,
together. But, I mean, I've been to blues concerts and it's like it put me right there.
yeah.
And then the vampires had their own type of music. And so
It
it's
was
like,
crazy.
yeah,
Their music was so like it
interesting.
was so interesting. And that kid that played the he was the young kid, learning how to play all those songs like right before the movie, and
Yeah.
learning how to play the guitar. Yeah. I was lucky to go to a screening where the whole cast and all of the production people were there, and
Wow.
um, you know, and Ryan Coogler and the whole thing. And it was truly amazing. But anyway.
Well, I think this is an interesting slate. I don't remember the last time that I really enjoyed all five nominees And there's a lot
I
of
know.
categories as we go through that. I think all these films were on the top of my list. There's nothing that I think shouldn't be here. That being said, however, from a film editing perspective, what 2025 films might have been overlooked?
Well, I'll say Begonia was, I mean, yes, I am the Yorgos Lanthimos, stan here, and except, well, the last movie wasn't that great, but I really loved Begonia. I just got sucked into the whole thing, and I was actually surprised at the twist, and it was just really well put together. It was like compelling, and so I would. Every movie in this category deserves to be in there, but like Begonia is probably one that I would have, and Hamnet.
Yeah, I'll jump
yeah,
in about
you
Hamnet,
jump in
'cause
about Hamnet.
yeah, I agree. I agree with Begonia as well for those reasons. And then also Hamnet, which is not a perfect movie. It is a bit melodramatic, frankly.
Yes.
A bit of a tearjerker. But I have to say, like, and this is a spoiler alert here, but the final sequence takes place at a performance of Hamlet in London at the Old Globe. And the acting performances are great, but the editing, particularly in that sequence, really did so much work. Like, it becomes about a lot of the relationships that you've seen earlier in the film. And it's not necessarily that easy to have scripted that out, but the editing makes it clear what's going on. Like,
it just kind of it kind of wrapped up the whole story. Like,
it really did.
In such a beautiful way.
Yeah, just a beautifully paced, beautifully observed sequence of editing. And so I kind of wish that had been nominated, for that.
And also, it's Chloe Zhao was an editor on the film. She was the co-editor, and all the nominees are male this year again. And it would have been nice to have women in the category, but it was deserving. But then again, it's a big slate this year. I mean, it's truly impressive, like how many great films there were that could have been nominated for best editing.
And Amy, something you said earlier really sits with me. That's like none of the movies, even though some of them were frantic and fast, like I was never confused about where I am or whose point of view I was in. Like the storytelling is super powerful and it's inspiring. Like as a filmmaker,
it is.
These films are still getting made, and they all have something to say or something about them that's special, and like that's actually pretty exciting about where we are.
Yeah, like F1 was even like I was telling my wife last night because she didn't watch it, and I was like, it's the thing about Formula One is it's very based in the world. Like it's multicultural. It is like every and so that was kind of an interesting thing to see, because mostly you just think of like Daytona and NASCAR and like that's just steeped in America. And
I'm gonna be the ugly American who I don't know that much about F1, so I might have dropped that one myself.
But it's just car racing is like this is the very like it started in Europe and then it just like expanded, and so they do go all over the world and race around the world, and it was just very fascinating. You're just like,
it's just such an American
like the soccer of he's so American, like
the hero,
crazy.
The Western hero. So I don't know, but I might have traded it out for one of these for Begonia or Hamnet.
Yes.
As an editor.
We'll see what voters choose. On that note, we'll call it a wrap. Chris and Amy, thanks so much for being here today. This was fun.
Sure. Oh, it's always fun.
Yeah, it's so much fun. Thank you guys for this.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
Quick note for listeners, this is the first of a planned 13 episodes in this year's Oscar series, and I hope you'll stick with us. We'll be churning out new episodes right up until the ceremony on March 15th, so subscribe now if you haven't already, so you catch them all. If you're watching the YouTube video, let me know what you think. My email address is skid@blowtheline.biz, that's B-I-Z, and I'm always grateful for your feedback. Closing credits, thanks to Curtis Five for our music and John Wan for our logo. The logo is available on t-shirts, mugs, and stickers at redbubble.com. To all of our listeners, I appreciate you. Please rate us wherever you get your podcasts and tell your friends. Thanks again from Below the Line. Now, see, normally I let you guys leave early, but you got to stay through the credits. That's like movie stuff, so you got to stay through the end. All right, I'm going to go check on the dog. Thanks, guys. This was fun.
Thank you so much.
Thank you again.
Take care. Talk to you soon.